welcome back to Little Mo Homestead, where we are on a journey toward wellness a little bit every day. Today I thought I'd share with you a late August garden tour, which means it's not going to be nearly as pretty as it was in June or July. But I think it's important to share this part of the gardening process too, kind of learning when to pull things, when things are done, to make space for the beets that we will be planting here this weekend for a fall harvest. So come along with me as we enjoy an urban homestead garden tour. So down on this end of the garden is really a part that we aren't touching anymore. We have some what we call in Iowa ditch lilies from my in-laws toward the back of that retaining wall I built earlier this summer. Then down here we have some comfrey, and because this is a newly transplanted plant, we are not harvesting from it this year, but we hope to be able to add to that or add that to our composting and fertilizing routine next year. Back here we have some rhubarb, and we harvested a lot from this. Would you believe it started from 2 plants, and this is really only the second year we've had it, but we harvested from that and had some delicious rhubarb pie, rhubarb cake, rhubarb jello cake, which is one of my favorites. This is a movable enclosure that I built earlier this summer. We have had such a rabbit problem, it's ridiculous. These were around our ground cherries down toward the other end of the garden, which we have pulled, and this will be the area where we put in some of the beets that we plan to plant here this weekend. Also, we need to shove that into the ground. You can kind of see where bunnies and squirrels can still get underneath there, but we'll bury that and we'll make this a little spot. We had garlic here that we put in last fall over the winter, and so we think that the beets will go pretty well there. Here we have what's left of our tomato plants. You can kind of see that some of them are starting to die back a little bit. We started single stemming this year, and things just got away from us, to be honest. So we have some tomato plants left. My spouse is a master gardener, and so this area up here were some heirloom varieties that we grew for the local master gardeners, and we harvested those seeds to seed save. So I think there was a Siberian tomato, maybe an Israeli one as well. So these were pulled quite a while ago because they were one and done varieties. But we've got some nice cherry tomatoes here that need to be harvested, and I'll do that after I mow. Some of our larger tomatoes in the back are dying off as well. Interesting fact, right across the fence from us, there was a black walnut tree, and that black walnut tree is something that our neighbor allowed us to take down because it was affecting our tomatoes. So we hope the chemical juglone will come out of the soil okay, and all shall be well. This is kind of our pride and joy, and you wouldn't know it here in August, but this is our trellised delicata squash. We ended up with 6 fruit. There's only 5 left on the vine because yours truly knocked them off. But you can see that this plant is dying back. We have that other one in the house, and we'll see if we can add it to something. I don't know that it's fully ripe, but these are looking good. And like I said, the plant is dying off. So when the plant has died off and everything looks a little woody, it'll be time to harvest these. Next to them, we've got 2 cucumber plants. I don't know if you can see that cucumber down there. We've got 2 cucumber plants. Cucumbers did only okay this year. It is what it is. I mean, we had 2 plants, and I think we've gotten a steady stream of them. These are here's a nice cucumber that's probably just about ready to pick, so I'll pick that when I come out and do tomatoes as well. But cucumbers are hit and miss, really. So got a nice bee pollinator friend flying around here, and I love to see that. Absolutely love to see it. So Here we have some dill that we just need to harvest and get inside to dry. We have drying lines downstairs in our basement. This is the area where that mobile enclosure was, and this is where our ground cherries were. They are delicious. They made a wonderful ground cherry hand pie, and we look forward to the ones that we put up in the freezer for this next year. So these are natapinos, I believe. I believe these are natapinos here. And then we have some habaneros that are back here, which means they are like jalapenos and like habaneros. However, they are without the heat. So they have the wonderful taste without the heat. And you can see kind of some of that delicious fruit. Up here is kind of an experiment, which is interesting because we are not hot pepper people. But these are lemon drop peppers from my spouse's uncle, who has a homestead in southwestern Iowa. So, and we're kind of in south central, southeastern Iowa. So we got these plants from him, and we've harvested the first two. They take quite a while to get to a nice summery kind of lemon color. So up here we have some Thai chili peppers, which I have used. They're spicier if you leave the seeds in, but if you don't, see, like this one needs to be harvested. But if you don't leave the seeds in, you can actually get something pretty wonderful for your salsa that just adds another layer of flavor. And then over here we have my favorite gypsy peppers. And the gypsy peppers have been kind of slow this year to come on, but they turned orange and red. But I really love those. They're a favorite pepper of mine just for eating. Finally, back here, this has been sort of an experiment. Let's put it that way. But these are the start of sweet Marconi's. Sweet Marconi peppers, and they get really long and really large, and for some reason we've had bugs just loving on those, so we haven't gotten a lot of them, but the ones we've gotten have turned red and beautiful, and we went ahead and just sliced them lengthways, de-seeded them, and then we will get to those later in the year when we are longing for a taste of our garden in the wintertime. We planted some giant sunflowers this year, and this has really helped with bringing more pollinators to the garden, which is always our desire. So they're kind of flopped over from the wind, and it's August, so they're starting to die back. But you can see we got our friends right there. Our friends the bees, and we love to see them. We love that they are here. And they're doing good work for us. So this one is dying back as well, and we're just kind of letting it happen. So looks like we had some volunteer. This is what happened. We had Chinese long beans planted here last year, and it looks to me like we had a volunteer one come up, and we have a couple of volunteer long beans here. So it's always a surprise when you come in the garden and see these things. This is the Brussels sprout area, and depending on where they are, we will get a decent harvest from these. So you can see this front plant here. We've got lots of good sprouts forming down in there. Lots of good sprouts. And then we've got some back here that are they just aren't putting them on as well. They put a lot of effort into the leaves and not a lot of effort into the sprouts. So we're gonna have to do some research. We accidentally planted these Brussels sprouts last year. Not these, but the ones from last year. And we liked them so much, we planted more. Brussels sprouts and cabbage often get mixed up in the nursery, and so we thought we had a couple cabbage in here, and we only actually had like 3 cabbage. We thought we had 6. We ended up with a lot more Brussels sprouts. And I don't know that we're going to get a bunch except for from that front plant, maybe the next one. See back here, this little plant is just not doing well. I've had a horrible time with some cabbage moths. And this one back here is just kind of, I don't know, failure to thrive, I suppose. We have pulled every cabbage plant except for this one. This one put out 2 stems, and we harvested one of the heads, and now it's putting on a second head. So we left it grow, and whatever we get, we will rejoice. But this one looks really good, and we're very happy with it. Of course, we always have our cairn in the middle of our garden because this is sacred ground here in the garden, for sure. This is a lemon balm plant that we got from friends from church, and we plan to dry some of it and try to use it for tea. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, so we comment below if you know, but I think what we're going to do is give it a try and see. Maybe we're past when you can do that, but either way, it needs to be cut back for sure. So in this area, we had garlic. Now we have weeds, but we had garlic and onions, and the onions did not do well at all, but the garlic really has. The garlic really did, and so that's downstairs drying, and I hope to show you that in another video. This area is sort of like it's amazing that anything grew. So we tried to fence this off, and but we used like a plastic fence, and a rabbit chewed right through it. And of course it had beets, and it had carrots in it. So we left things grow, and if the rabbits got it, they got it. It helped keep them away. I don't know what it is, but our garden has just been a magnet for rabbits, and I really think that part of our work for next year will be to put a fence up in our vegetable area. This is kind of moving us into the native beds that are, again, dying off and not looking great, but this is August. It's a real August garden tour. We planted some peas here, and they're just getting to a point where they're about done too. You can kind of see, but we'll harvest these up and might even pull it. So this is the time of year when you start making decisions about what you're going to pull, what you're going to leave. So, but we trellised those, and of course, once again, got away from us, and we didn't get the rest trellised. So if we move around the corner here, we have some coneflowers that are, again, about done. We had a real strong windstorm come through and really knock things over, but these suckers are, you can see, that's how tall they are. And for reference, I'll show you just how tall they actually are. You can kind of see they are like, what, chest high maybe a little bit. Some of them are even taller on me. So coneflowers are native prairie plants, and that's exactly what we wanted. The pollinators love them. So these have really taken off. We got them from Prairie Moon Nursery in Minnesota. So if you're interested, they have some great native flower packs. So go ahead and check those out. So we transplanted some lamb's ear back here, and for a while they looked like they died, but they have been resurrected, so we will take that. We have some some small little blue stem, that's what they're called, little blue stem grass here. I think these are some butterfly plants here. This is chocolate mint, which again really needs to be cut back. My spouse planted that. I'm not entirely sure what to do with it, but it'll take over if you don't watch it. But again, it has some flowers that the pollinators love. I see bee floating around in there, getting some of that goodness right over in here. So we love to see it. Back here we have some chamomile that we can dry, and pretty great. I think it's pretty great. Good sleepy time tea, especially for those long winter nights. We have some daylilies and some blue aster that again kind of got hit with that that windstorm and really bowled it over. So we have a strawberry bed back here that we have had for a couple years now. And we are going to, when things kind of die back, we are going to pull those out and put them in a stackable container. So I'll show you that when we do it, because I think it's pretty cool. So extra landscaping timbers back there. We have a few ideas of what to do with them, but right now we're doing nothing. So we have some sweetgrass both here and over here. My spouse harvested some sweetgrass, and we just are drying that downstairs. Cool little story about these solar lights. When we moved in here 3 years ago, we removed the ceiling fan, and the ceiling fan had these globes on it, and we just hated to see those go to waste. And so we got some just cheap solar lights from like a Dollar Tree or something, and we glued those to the globe with some like Gorilla Glue, and they look really pretty at night. So we have a few of those sprinkled throughout the garden. We have some irises back here. We have some more of that butterfly milkweed down in there. Little blue stem grasses over in here. A dwarf lilac. And then a couple of tomatoes that were growing in containers. They haven't gotten real big, but they have kind of steadily produced some fruit. So we were just trying that as an experiment when we lost a couple to the black walnut juglone earlier in the year. So we'll see. And finally, for this backyard garden tour, well, not finally, I have one more thing to show, but we have rainbow carrots in these first two containers, and then we have some Danvers carrots in these containers. So never have grown the Danvers carrots or we tried the rainbow carrots, but they did not take off in the garden. So never have we grown them in a container. So we're just going to see how this pans out. But I can see the tops of some of these, and you can see that they are growing. Now, by nature, the carrots actually are going to be smaller because we're growing them in a container situation. So we'll see. And then finally is this middle bed, and we've got some asparagus that we transplanted from my spouse's uncle, and some sneezeweed, which is just beautiful right now. It's a great late summer, early autumn color. This little guy down here is a coneflower, but it didn't do great. Didn't do very well. So we hope that it'll do a little better in the next year. And then some more asparagus down here. So that is the late August garden tour. And as you can see, we are going to start making some decisions about what to harvest, what to pull, what to plant for a fall crop, and that'll be decisions we make as things kind of die back, and we see what the weather has been. Lately, we have had over 100-degree weather for several days in a row. It's still pretty humid today, but there's a nice breeze, so I can be out, and I'll try to get some mowing done. But honestly, you never know what the weather's going to be like. You never know what you're going to find when you enter the garden. And that is part of the journey. That's part of the wonder. That's part of the delight of not just gardening, but urban homesteading. Small homesteads producing enough to, starting to produce enough to live off of and get us through most of the winter. So we'll talk more about that later. But remember, we are on a journey toward wellness, a little bit every day. We'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already.